really a review or refresher, or for some of you brand new, a beginner look at Google Docs and slides. So obviously with 2 applications, we'll only be able to really do an overview. But if you have any follow-up questions after we're done, or you want to look at any other advanced ideas, or you have something specific in mind, please do, stay after or let me know. That will help me to come up with some additional trainings that we could provide as well. All right, so I am just going ahead here and sharing with you a Google Doc. So I presume that most of you at this point, whether you like it or not, are using Google Docs in some fashion, whether it's been shared, one has been shared with you, or you're creating them. We've come quite a long way since, kind of getting moved over back in 2019. So I plan to give you just some overview ideas and really how to get started and what you should know. So it's pretty basic, but also some great features that you should know if you don't about Google Docs, and then we'll move into Google Slides as well. So please, if you have a question or if there's something you're dying to know and I don't get to it, please do let me know. So these are a couple of starting points that I've adapted from other wonderful sources. But essentially with Google Docs, you're going in, you're starting. So for me, by habit, I always navigate with my if I'm going to show you this tab, which now means, oh, good, you can see it too. If I'm here, I always navigate to my little, block, whatever you want to call it here. And then I go over to my docs. But others will say a great place to start would be your Drive. And the reason for that is because when you're in Drive, you can see the plus right here. You can actually create just about anything from your Drive. And if you forget to name it or you don't remember where you put it, it's automatically saving into your Drive anyway. So it's just another option. Hopefully it's not, either place. You can either, again, go into your Google Docs and open a blank document, or again, go right into your Drive if that's more comfortable. Everything will be saved. You can see here, I started to type in this, but I never titled it up here at the very top where it says untitled document. So you want to make sure you name your document. Once I clicked on it, it gave me this kind of, it's trying to be smart and say, is this what you want to name it? That's what your heading was. I can change it, but if you don't change it, it's going to save it as untitled. And of course, then you've got a million untitles in there. So at any point you can change it, you can rename it. I'm going to leave it like that. That sounds good. Another big thing to keep in mind is that this is automatically saving. So if you're still using Word predominantly, you're used to the save as or the constantly saving. And I am so used to using this now, but I was in that world. You never have to, there's no save. So it's pretty interesting, but if you're worried at all, always look up and you can see here it says last edit. And sometimes it'll be saving. So it's always continuously saving, which also makes it really useful for collaborating, right? So when I'm writing, you're writing, we're all in there, it's saving everything versus I make some edits, then I have to save it, send it in an email to you, and then you've got to edit it. And in between that time, I'm losing time essentially from collaborating. So that's one of the other items to think about. So you want to start by obviously creating a document, naming it. Obviously, you can type in the document like I did. I don't know about all of you, and if you've heard me say this before, I don't know. I mean, I know how to type and I know how to pretty well, and I know how to text, but I voice text on my phone all the time. It's I'm too busy to type. So this is what it makes me think of in here. If you go to your tools option up here, so there's a lot of similarities as in Word. I'm way at the top here. There's an option for voice typing. Again, just an option. Maybe you're on the go. Maybe you want to just throw out some ideas. It's another option. And when I click this, I'll start speaking and it will start transcribing what I'm saying. You can even say things just again, if you use your phone to text, voice text, period, and then keep going. So you can also even speak the grammar and punctuation that you would like it to transcribe. So something to consider and use. It's a great feature, right? So you've got that far, and then you could need to consider sharing. I would say my experience is most people either like to avoid using Google Docs for this reason. They get very worried, like, I'm going to share it with somebody that I don't want to, and I get that completely. So hopefully I can reassure you by saying a couple of things. You can see at the top right of my document where it says share, and there's this little lock, and if I hover, it says private to only me. Okay, none of you, you're only seeing it because you're seeing my screen. So I already know, as a practical matter, that nobody else can see it. So until and unless I press that share and I put someone's email in there, it's not going anywhere. Okay, so this is just for me to see. But if I wanted to immediately collaborate, I can start sharing immediately as well. So do know that you have complete control over that. And the what if I start putting someone's name in there to share and it's the wrong one? You can remove access as well. Okay, so I always like to give the, what if scenario. So I press share. You can see I'm the owner. It's only given to me right now. I can do a couple of things. I can either add individual people, or, and you might see this with a lot of the documentation or instructions that I create, I will actually go down here and I will turn it on. So right now it says restricted only to those with the link. So if I was to put someone's name in here, only them with the link would be able to see it. But if I go here and say, share with Fitchburg State University, now what I'm doing is saying anyone in Fitchburg State who has this link, right? So half of you have the link and the other half of this university doesn't, they can't. But the idea is now I don't have to worry about individually inviting everyone. I've turned the link on, and now I can copy the link and paste it in an email or on some other communication. And that I find to be nice, because there's a lot of times that I'm saying, here, go to this document. So you can do that. So at that point, of course, you're allowing anyone potentially at Fitchburg State who has the link. So presuming it's, information you want to be out there, that's important. And you can see here, they will just view it. So no one's going to have the ability to do anything else unless I change that so that they're a commenter or an editor. I might even do this with a large group where I want to collaborate, but I want them just to comment so there's not an excessive, trail of information. And if you're used to using track changes, like in Word, we don't have track changes in Google Docs, but making someone a commenter allows you to see what they've commented, and then you can accept those changes, which we'll look at a little bit more. So the sharing option, hopefully that makes sense. Does anyone have any questions so far? Is that concerning to anyone, or is that okay? I'm guessing here. Okay. So sharing, so you're going to share it out in some fashion. Again, depends on what your purpose is. And then just be sure that whatever way you're doing it, whatever way you're sharing, whether it's individually or if it's in with a link, that you determine their access. So again, you can see here, let me go back for a second. If you can see, I don't know how close you can see, if I hover now over my share, see how it's got a little link under it? It's telling me, no, now it's no longer private. This is open to anyone that I've given this link to at Fitchburg State University. As a practical matter, is 0 people right now because I've done nothing, but it's available for me to share. But I could change this. I could go back in here. I can change this so that I'm now restricting it again. So now it's nobody has the link, and I would have to press done. Okay. And then I also wanted to just tell you, if you were to put someone in here, by default, they will be an editor. Okay, that's important, because if I sent this to Sherry right now, she would have complete editing rights to this document. And there are many times where that might be accurate, but understand that means that they can fully edit it, change it, do anything that you can do, share it, so forth. So again, for many occasions, that might be the necessary option. But if you're sending it again for someone just to look at, then they will just have viewing options. You can do that. You want them just to comment. So, you want them to do more than just view, but don't take over my document and edit it and make me have to figure out, what's been changed. There's easy ways to do that though. You can have them be a commenter, and that would be they can look at it, commenter, and then they can make comments in which you'll be able to see. And if you accept them or you like them, then you can add them to the document. Any questions on those sharing permissions? And that's pretty common for a lot of the Google products, but I just want to alert you that if you come here, okay, good, great, and send, you've automatically made, whoever this person is, an editor, unless you change it, okay? And again, if you do accidentally do that and 2 seconds later you realize it, you can go back into share and change this permission, okay? No questions on that? Okay. I also want to show you 2 other things while I'm in here. I'm going to share it with my student account just so that you can see the next step here. So I'm going to give this account viewing access. I'm going to send it. You can also choose to not notify people. It'll still save for them, but they won't get an email. You can write a little message in here, send it off. And what I want you to also know is that now that I've shared it, I can go back to my share at any point, change this access. I can also see that I've shared it with this person. And I have this gear up here. And this also, by default, these are always checked. There are occasions where you might not want to check them. So I just want you to know that. So editors, if you add someone as an editor, they can change permissions and share. Fine. So that means they can make Sally a viewer versus an editor. That means they can share it with someone else. If you're okay with that, fine. The other issue is if you're sending this to someone literally just to view it, just look it over, I don't want you to copy it, I don't want you to do anything else to it, then you do need to make sure that after you share it, you go back into sharing like I did, press that gear and uncheck that viewers and commenters can see the option to download, print, and copy. Do y'all understand why that's important? Hopefully. Again, there's a lot of occasions where I don't even touch that because most of the people I want to view it, I'm okay with that. But let's say it's a proposal of some sort, right? It's something that's incredibly urgent or important, and you don't want the reviewer of it to even unintentionally download a copy to their computer because now they have it. Maybe it's something that is just for viewing only. I just want you to know that those exist, not to concern you, but it is kind of that next step or next level of protection if you need it or want it. So that is all there is about sharing. You all can see this, great. The idea of comments. So the idea of comments is that regardless if you are editing, editing or commenting, you can provide a comment. And you can see in this little screenshot, it explains where you kind of do that. So you would highlight, so I'm in this number 5, I would highlight a section. And once I highlight that text, I've got these 2 options here. I can either suggest edits, which is this green, or I can add a comment, which is this blue. And so now I'm writing a comment, and then comment. So anyone that's seeing this document would also be able to see that comment. So now the owner says, oh yeah, great, thank you, I read it. You check it as resolved, okay? You can see why using comments is a great way to consider collaborating, right? Because someone says, well, I've got this great document and I don't want 30 people in there editing it and changing it. So how can I still control the edits? Well, one way is to give those people commenting access only, and then they comment. And then you as the owner can go in and resolve any of the comments and add them in. So on the other hand, so here's a comment. In this case, would just be something for me to look at. Great, goes away. The other thing you can do with commenting is you can actually add a plus, the @ sign, and you can like assign this to someone. So if there was someone else in this, in here, Trish, I'm gonna use you just for sake. And see here, it gives me the option assign to Trish. So I could select this, and then when I say, I could say at, her email address, check this out. I'm going to assign it, and then it's going to let me know, but you haven't shared this with her yet. So even if you haven't shared it with anyone, it will alert you before you do that. So I'll say, yeah, you know what? I do want her to comment. So I'm going to say, yes, share it with her for comment. You don't have to do anything, Trish. And then she'll get notification that I've assigned her this particular area in the document. So you can use, comments for lots of different reasons as well, which also leads itself to hopefully a non-confusing piece, which is by default, when you're in a document, when you're in a Google Doc, you're editing. So I'm over here to the top right with my little pencil, you're editing. When you create your document, you're editing it. When someone shares it to you, shares it with you, unless they've made you a viewer or commenter, then you are editing. However, if someone is sharing it with you and you are a commenter, then you are only going to have suggesting. And what I'm saying by that is this, when I press on the pencil, I'm brought back to those levels. So editing, if I'm an editor, again, completely edit the entire document. Suggesting, which is only going to give essentially comments to the owner to say, this is what I'm suggesting. And then you've got viewing, which is the only ability to really review it, like a preview, look it over, and so forth. So in that case, if you're looking for feedback from someone, you wouldn't want to give them just viewing option because they wouldn't be able to comment anywhere. They would have to directly email you. So it depends on how you want to look at that. I will say, even when I'm giving editor rights sometimes, and I am asked to look something over, because that's what I get to do a lot, I will often go in here myself and go to suggesting. And the reason for that is because I don't, someone says, please look this over for me, right? And they just want my opinion. But at the end of the day, they're the owner. So I don't want to go ahead editing it all. So I might say, you know what, I want to suggest this. And you see at the bottom, it says you're suggesting. And I can see here at the top right, I'm suggesting. So what that means now is, I can go over here and I can't actually delete this. You see what happens when I go to delete comments? It's like track changes. Instead, it says right here, Allison just tried to delete this, okay? And instead, I'm gonna write idea, okay? So that would be my suggestion. And then, because I'm the owner, this is a little silly, but you can see I could accept the suggestion or reject it. So if I accept it, what happens is now it turns to ideas. So it's an awesome way for a lot of people to interact and collaborate without feeling like, you have to double check. Look, I'm still suggesting, so my space, I didn't like the space there. So consider also using the suggesting mode, or at least now you can see that if you've given someone the commenter access, that's how they'll see things as well. Any questions on any of that? You want me to review any of that? That was a lot. So of course that brings us to finding comments, right? So next thing you know, you've got, again, a lot of people writing comments and so forth. You can always go back up here. So I'm at the very top right next to my share. This is if I want to present to a meeting. And then this is this little speech bubble icon is my comment history. So I've had times where I've gone into a document and I've seen the owner has already, accepted a lot of the suggestions, right? Because it could be something like a space, nothing, but I'm curious, what were those suggestions? I can go in here and see exactly what's been done, okay? And that's for all of you, if you're sharing or if you've been shared a document. So the comments history is up here. Okay, we talked about suggesting already. I kind of added that one in there. So the other really great one, I'm going to skip over that for 1 second, is version history. So I mentioned to you a few times that while it's nice to collaborate with many people, depending on the type of document or the purpose, having 30 people editing it might be a little tricky. So you could, have them suggest, okay? You could just say, I'm giving you these rights, please put in your comments so that we can, look at them all together at one time. But whatever way you do it, please know that there is a version history. And that means that at any point, you can go back and see what changes were made. Okay? I can even restore my previous versions. So in this case, not the best example because this is just my document, but if I go up here, and if you can see next to the help button, I've got this little thing that says last edit was 2 minutes ago. Okay? And it says open version history when I hover over it. Okay, so I can go there, and then I can also go to File, Version History, right here. If you can all see that. So that either way will get you to the same place. And when I do that, you can see that me, I'm a green dot. But if there was other people, they would have a different colored dot, and it would show exactly what it was that they were doing. So let's say I'll show you, this was the first version. It was a blank document. So if I wanted to, for whatever reason, get rid of all the stuff I've already done, I can restore this version, okay? Or we get to 1026 where I did some other stuff, right? Still not as updated as this current version, but you can see here that the green means this is all of the items Allison has changed. As a practical matter, the only person. But if it was other people, you could see that too. And then, like I said, you can restore it, which is really nice option. So know that you always have that option to review it, check it out, go back, and so forth. And anyone who's seeing the document or shared with can do the same thing. Okay, so that's a nice controlling piece, right? To know I can see exactly who's done what. So whether you give them editing access or not, you haven't lost control. You can still see exactly what's been done or completed. Okay, hopefully everyone was familiar with that. And then I just hit my back button, and then I'm back to my kind of regular version here. Okay, any questions, thoughts? Okay, I'll keep going for a few more minutes here. So certainly, if you haven't already, do explore some of the other features. One of my favorite features, not only in Docs, but in Slides, is the Explore button. I am all the way to the bottom right. You'd miss it if you weren't looking for it. And if you press Explore, other than the fact that it's saying retry, it's mad at me. Typically, it's happy. And what happens is you could be, basically it's like a web search in your document. So I could look for Google Docs. And it could say, well, here's some of the topics that come up. Okay, let's try this. I have no idea. So now it's going to search this, and I don't know why there we go. I think it was just my internet. And it will give me a web search of this topic. I could also do images. I tend to do images a lot because it's a nice way to just pop it in my document or my slide. So these aren't some really great images, but let's say it's like this one. Okay, so I see how the little plus sign, I don't know if you can see that. When I select it, one, I can see it bigger, and then I can choose to insert it and go to the next option, or I can get out of this altogether. So I'm gonna say, let's look at this one. Yeah, great, I'm gonna insert it. It's ginormous, so, and I'm still in suggesting mode, so let me get out of it. And then obviously I can make that a lot smaller. And I can even get rid of my link if I just wanted to. Do you all see what I did there? Hopefully. So the Explore button, again, just a feature I want you to be aware of. You can still go to another tab and use your Google, your Google search. But if you're looking for something quick that you want to just insert or be able to reference, you can do that with the Explore button. And that's, again, kind of hidden on the bottom right. Not intentionally. That's one of the other things. If by default, you're usually seeing a Google Doc, I was gonna say in, where's my, oh, here we go. View in print. I'm in print layout, but if you weren't in print layout, that's under view. It would look like one long document, like with no page breaks. So it depends on what you want to look at. But if you're sending this somewhere and you're like crazy about page breaks like I am, where they don't cut in the middle of things, then you want to make sure that you have that view, but you have those options to look at them. Oops, so sorry about that. I'm too quick with my clicking here. So file, the other things to be aware of is that you can download this document to a different type. So if you wanted to download this to Microsoft Word, you can do that. So it doesn't have to stay a Google Doc. I will say, in order to get all of this stuff that we just talked about, you know, the commenting and the different features, it's best to keep it in Google Docs, because then people can do the same thing. Once you make it a Word document, you've lost some of that collaboration ability, but certainly it's available to do that. Or you want to turn this into a PDF, right? So that you can send it off to the world and you don't have to worry about it being some sort of a document that people are touching. That makes sense too. So there are a few different ways you can do that. I will also say what's kind of neat is if you did this suggesting mode that I was just talking about in Google Docs, and then you downloaded this as a Microsoft Word, it would actually show all those suggestions as tracked changes. So I know there are a couple of processes going on right now where that's important, where they need a Word document for the end result, but people want to collaborate, and the best way to do that is with Google Docs. So if you are one of those people, let me know. I'm happy to walk you through it, but just another thought to keep in mind. So I think everything else is pretty obvious here. Want to make a copy, kind of like the save as, so forth. That's all here. The normal header, footer, so forth. In the tools, again, this is the citations. There's your Explore in another place. We talked about voice typing. So there's some great ideas there. You can even compare documents. So if you have two different Google Docs you wanted to look at and kind of see the edits, you could do that. And then there are add-ons, but you don't need to worry about any of those at this point as well. That's really like the quick and, you know, easy way to get around Google Docs. Did anyone have any specific questions that maybe I didn't cover or that you'd like me to mention? And I hope I answered your questions other than the email. Okay. All right. If nothing else, I hope that made, even though it was quick, I hope it made you feel a little bit more comfortable that there's a lot of ways, and I think you all know this at this point, that I always try to give you the caveats, like what might be a problem, and you know, here's where you don't have to worry, because you can double check yourself, you can fix it, you can unshare, you can remove access. There's lots of ways to go back, which is really nice. So I hope you feel a little bit more comfortable, but if you had a specific question or something you were hoping to gain about Docs, please do let me know. Okay, so Slides is basically the equivalent of Microsoft PowerPoint in some degree. Again, the main feature to consider is the collaboration. It's going to be the same kind of sharing opportunities that you have in Google Docs. And so that makes it, you know, a great way to collaborate, whether it's with students or our colleagues. It goes on and on. Same thing as Google Docs. You can go right into your Drive and create a Google Slides slideshow from there. You can also go into Google Slides directly. Again, I'm just a creature of habit, so I tend to do that, and I just go into my apps here, and then I go to Slides. So you'll see it kind of opens like this. I've got a whole bunch of different ones, but there's usually just start with something blank. Unless you're interested in looking at a template, you could do that. There's been, Google provides you with some different options of, ideas to get you started. Maybe just a general presentation, portfolio, party invite. These are Google created, not mine as well. If anybody in the university creates a template and wants to share it, it would be over here in our university template. So just be careful if you do add, like submit a template, that it's blank and doesn't have any information except for the template version. But that's kind of a neat place to look too. So on this thought, I get very excited about Google Slides because as you know, I use it all the time. I get bored with some of these templates. So there are a couple of places, if it tickles your fancy, to look. There's something called Slides Mania and Slides Carnival. I'm sure there's others. And these are websites that are free and you can look at any one of them. A lot of these I've gotten from there that give you templates for all different, you wouldn't imagine, all different ideas to get you started. So if there's something specific that you wanted to use, then, you know, and you're just not seeing a template that you love in Google, feel free to check out either one of those websites. And you can also know that you can go there for PowerPoint templates as well. So you can choose either one. So I know for a lot of us, it's just a learning curve and feeling comfortable. But hopefully you'll see that this product works very similar to Docs, you know, except it's a slideshow presentation. So when I open a blank slideshow, the same thing happens up here. It's an untitled presentation right now until, you know, I ask it to name it something else. And it's giving me these themes, but I can X out of there. And it's just a blank, right now I've just literally created a blank document, excuse me, blank slideshow. So in this case, this is one that I've created a long time ago, but it has the basic information that's good for us. And, you know, you can change the background, the layout, and so forth. So this toolbar that I'm looking at right under the words here, this is your kind of quick access. You've got your text box, you can insert images, make shapes, you know, lines. You can also add comments in slides. So if you're doing some sort of, again, collaborative project, students, colleagues, groups, and you want them to use the commenting, that's a great option too. And then you can change your background. So in this case, I've just got a color. If I wanted to change my whole theme, then layout is referring to the actual slide. So each slide could have a different type of layout. Like it could have columns, or it could have a picture, so on and so forth. So layout you can change for each one of your slides or not. And then theme is referring to, again, that kind of overall look of your slideshow in general, if you choose one at all. Okay. The other thing that is kind of nice is, for instance, I had this slideshow and I think I'm fancy now, so I wanted to do something different. And so when I found a different template that I liked, you could imagine I don't want to have to copy and paste all of this information. So there's actually a way in which you can import slides. So I could either pull up my new template, or we'll use this one for an example. And I want to, you know, import slides into this new one, right? So if I wanted to take, you know, one of these, and I'm not going to because I'll look all crazy. But if I pressed one of these, it would actually let me know, okay, and I select it. It'll say, okay, here are all the slides in that slideshow in a second when it's done thinking. And do I want to put all of these? Like, it's like combining. So I could combine all of these. I can either select all, I could select just one, right? None. So I'll just select this one. And then here it says keep original theme. So do I want it to come over into my blue background looking exactly like this? Then I would keep my original theme. If I want just the content, right, to fit in with my current theme, does that make sense? Right? Like I don't want this, I just want it to say Google Slides, but I want it to look like my blue. So in that case, I'm going to say, no, I don't want the theme. I'm over the theme. I just want the content. So I'm going to import it. And now it's making me this slide. So this was the slide you just saw that I imported, but rather than being tan and orange, it's now the same theme, colors and so forth here. Okay, cool. So kind of nice if you ever need to combine information, but don't want to have to reinvent the wheel. So yeah, so that's layout and theme, transition. If you wanted to have, you know, your slides transition from one to the other, some sort of animations and so forth. you could do that as well. As I mentioned before, you do have that explore button. So essentially, like if I went here, I'm on this slide, and it's saying, here's some potential layouts. Like maybe, have you thought about this? So if you're one of those people that are like, I don't really want to spend the time, like, that's great, Allison, but I don't, like, somebody needs to do it for me. This would do it for you, whereas you put in the content and then you can press explore, and it just generates some options. So like maybe you like this side, this one instead. And then it'll start to kind of give you ideas. So it's doing some, machine learning that is helping to make your job a little bit easier, and take the work out. But again, you can do the same thing with, I can explore for something else. So puppies. So here's all my web, ideas about puppies. I could do images. I know you'd all be saying that if you had your mics on, it's okay. And if I want to insert it, I can. There it is. I don't want to link to it, so I'm going to remove it. So here, there. Also, if I had something in my drive, some sort of document or something I wanted to add in here, I could do that too. So there's a couple of places to do that. So that's your explore, which I know we spent some time on. Other than that, you've got the same setup as you saw earlier with the share. So same exact thing. You can tell here, I'm sharing with anybody who has this link at Fitchburg State. I can change that. I can share with individual people. I can present this. I got my comment history, and then I also have my version history here, just like you saw. So it's nice that all of the basic features are still there. So what you've learned over in Google Docs doesn't disappear. It's the same thing, same idea here. And now, you hover and it'll mostly tell you what you need there. You could also do a Q&A. There's some presenter options. So you can do a Q&A at the end of your presentation, which is kind of it's a good way to gauge audience ideas or information, feedback. If someone doesn't want to raise their hand and ask a question. So if you've used like the polling or Q&A in Google Meet, it's very similar. That kind of stemmed from here as well. So he's so cute. All right, I just want to see if there was anything else I wanted to mention to you, and then I will take your questions. Okay, questions for me on Google Slides. I know that was pretty quick. That was the basic look of it, but if there's something you're looking to do, there is a lot you can do. And so before you answer my own question, I will also say that you can add, and I kind of went that quickly, when you can insert images, audio. So the audio has to be created, of course, right? So if you've got, some sort of a file of you voice texting or something, you can insert that audio. If you wanted to insert audio from like a YouTube video, then you'd have to insert the video itself, okay? So that you can have the information, that you can do shapes and so forth. If you do a video, it's pretty simple. This is one I had started to put in, and this is actually a video about how you can play Google videos in Google Docs. And so you can either search. So in this case, I'm going to take this out, but I could search for, something, and it will give me some relevant Google videos about this particular topic. And I select one, and I can, I literally select at the bottom left, and it will incorporate into my slide. Or if you know the URL, meaning the specific address, like the one I had, you can paste it in. You can see this is what it's going to look like. And again, you can do the same with Google Drive. So maybe you want to put something in here, a video or what have you that you've created that's saved in your Google Drive. You can also import that. Okay. So then I go back to this. I'm going to select, and then Anna will take you 1 second. So here you'll see I've now got this embedded YouTube video, which is also a really great one, because what he talks about here is that now you can actually, you'll actually be able to preview it in like Google Docs if you put this in a Google Doc. But here's where you have some idea here with your, I'm gonna get rid of my video. There's some additional, information here. I will share this, in the chat so that you have it if you want to look at it. Also, this will be on, I think I just did that. This will also be on the IT YouTube channel. So if you want to review it again, you can always go to the other documents as well. And certainly please check out our webpage, because I constantly update different information that you can refer to. And obviously they're always updating and changing all of their products. Thankfully, they keep the basics there. So everything we talked about, you should be good to go. But certainly, try embedding and incorporating different items and getting more creative with what you're using. If that's something you're looking to do, it's definitely easy enough to do. And once you give yourself a couple of times, you'll navigate pretty easily. And I think you'll be more confident than you realize. But give it give it a whirl, and know that you can keep it to yourself, and you don't have to share it until you're comfortable. But you'll be able to play around with it. Any questions, comments, anything I can go over again or at all? Okay, quiet group. I guess I should be happy. It is Friday. All right, great. Well, you all know how to reach me. If not, my contact information is at the end of this slideshow. I know some of you have gotten into that. So please don't hesitate to reach out to me, contact me if you're looking to do something more advanced, or you just have questions and you want to go over this, just you and I. Absolutely not a problem. I'd love to do that. So it helps me to continue looking for new ideas and uses for these applications in all of your everyday work. So feel free to reach out, and otherwise you're welcome to log off. Thank you so much.